Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. Sorry about that. Woo! All right. Welcome. Welcome, Michael Hassler. Derry Bennett, working on something BRB. No problem. Thank you. Heat, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Blue Brother, welcome. Good evening, though. It's not evening for you. It's close enough. It's close enough. It's close enough. The Ponder Monkey, welcome. Sorry that I didn't get to that in time, but I'll read it out loud. The turd is finally sinking. Oh God! All right, folks. It is basically weekend. Weekend. It's only Tuesday. It's only Tuesday, folks, and I already want it to be the weekend. It's basically evening. Oh, it's 11:20 p.m. here? Jeez. Whew. All right, folks. We definitely got to get started. A couple of updates. Folks, for this weekend's movie night event, it sounds like, and I think that it's probably going to be the case. It sounds like we're going to be streaming the Al Yankovic movie, about 2 years ago. The movie that came out about 2 years ago. So that's definitely yeah, the biopic. Right. The biopic. Welcome to Simulacra. 420 is here. It's 520, but I suppose it's 420. DJ Che, welcome. I'm thinking that's an idea. We have some updates. Central, gotcha. We have some updates. We captured a we captured a little a little house mouse, and it turns out that the poor little house mouse that we caught had a messed up um, had a messed up leg or arm, and it turns out that she actually had pups. So now we've got like four little pinky pups, and the mom is currently the mom is currently doing her thing. So that's good. Her leg is still pretty messed up, but she's in a safe environment where she can take care of the pups, and not what I expected either, to be honest. To be honest, that's not exactly what I expected. I expected to, get the mouse some help, and let her recover in the little mouse hospital that we built, and that's definitely not something that we expected. So basically, what's going to end up happening is once the little the little pups are okay to release, we'll release those guys as they get older. And if the mom mouse can't be released, then she'll hang out with us. But yeah, gotta ask the wildlife rescue what to do with that, because that literally happened overnight. That's what I woke up to today. We'll see what happens. Wow, indeed. All right, folks. Also, don't forget, this Saturday, Kamikaze and welcome. This Saturday is movie night, so make sure if you want to hang out and do the movie night, !Discord. Join the Discord. It is free. If you're on the YouTube, I see you. Thank you for liking the stream. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the follow button and all that awesome stuff. Kamikaze, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate it. That's 3 months. I had a mouse infestation at my house. We handled things a bit differently. Yeah, I mean, like we haven't had that many mice, largely because Buddy lives in the house. So his scent alone is enough to keep most of the mice away. Just him being there has kept the mice outside. But this little mouse decided that she was going to try to seek refuge in the garage, and it was Buddy that alerted us to her presence. Cats are the best deterrent. Yeah, even if they don't do anything, the fact that they're there is enough for mice to go somewhere else, which is fine. We haven't had a single mouse make it inside the house for over a year now, definitely. But yeah, that's what we're dealing with. All right, folks, I gotta keep it moving because I'm on a tight schedule. And in the US, most garages are attached to the house. Very uncommon in Germany. Yes, this one is attached to the house. Funny enough, the neighbor's house is not. I guess it depends on where you are, because like some places it is like basically par for the course. Some places it's par for the course. To have it like connected or be part of the house. Some places no, because like the neighbor's house is a detached garage. Kalikala, my cats bring the mice inside. Oh no. Oof. Oh no. Now, thankfully, Bakita, the other kitty can't be bothered with doing hunting. She's a very proud princess. But Buddy, on the other hand, yeah, she's royalty. She cannot be bothered with hunting or anything like that. So we're okay there. But Buddy is our more recent cat, and he was a very he's a forest cat. He is a forest cat. So we've had to try to get him inside. And she didn't have enough toys apparently. Yeah, like Bakita is a complete opposite. Like she just wants to be left alone. As illustrated by the emote. That is her constant emotion right there. She just wants to be alone. She wants to be left alone on her throne, which is one of the chairs that the cats have taken over. She just wants to be on her throne, left alone, and fed twice a day. That's it. I was working one morning when I heard shrieking. It was a bunny rabbit in the mouth of my cat coming through the dog door. Jesus. Jesus Christ. My Toby is like that, but a bit more clingy. Let's take a look at this interview with my president, okay? My president.
Thank you, first of all, for sitting down with us. Volkswagen workers just won their union. This is obviously a really significant moment, but help us understand how significant this moment is and how you feel about it.
Well, I mean, it's another mountain moved. We in our Big Three campaign, we were laughed at for some of our demands we asked for, and we were told you'll never get this, you can't bargain for retirees, you'll never get cost of living back, you'll never get the battery EV work under our agreements, and it's the same thing since.
Mayhem AP, welcome.
And once we won all those fights in the Big Three contract campaign, when we talked about focusing moving our focus to organizing in the South, all I kept hearing was, you can't win in the South. It's not been done, it's not possible, and here we are, we've done it. And it's because what it means. It's the first domino to fall. This was won by the workers here. The workers are fed up. Workers in this country are fed up, and in this world are fed up, and that's why I really believe
my freaking president.
In our Big Three campaign. 75% of America supported us in that fight, and that's union and not union. And I believe it's just because working class people globally all feel the same thing. They see this mass inequality between the billionaire class, the corporate class, and everybody else. Workers have been left behind. They're fed up with being left behind, and they want their fair share. Our Big Three fight, I could go back to that again. I mean, we talked about the Big Three making $250 billion in profits in the last decade. In the German three, it's double that. They've made $500 billion in the last decade.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
And these workers are paid less. So, these workers here were motivated, they were fed up. And, personally for me, it's, this is where my roots are from. My mother was born in Tennessee. 3 of my grandparents were from Tennessee. And so this is really, and they were back in the Depression, my grandparents, they dealt with poverty. They were destitute. They had to migrate north and got jobs at GM and Chrysler, and it changed their lives when they became UAW members. And so, as we've said over and over, why do you have to leave here to get that? You don't have to. And so I'm really proud of these workers here.
Nice.
It's been over a decade of them in this fight, and they wanted this really bad, and it's finally time for them to get that justice. And and then we move on to the next step now. I mean, everyone talks about winning the elections.
This guy is so freaking based. I hope this continues. This unionization wave continues, and certainly this dude is doing his part as the president of the UAW.
It's the first step of this. I mean, now you have to bargain a contract, and that's the battle. So, that'll be the next step of this is bargaining the first contract, and these workers getting the justice that they so richly deserve.
Yeah, it's really amazing. You know, the union itself, it's gone through a lot of changes recently, including one member, one vote, something that reformers like yourself have fought for a long time. Can you talk about what role those recent changes played in making a
Whew. That's so freaking cool.
moment like this possible?
The role that played is it has everything to do with what's happening right now. If we did not go to a direct election, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Nice. After listening to the clip, I get the idea of what you're wanting to discuss right now. Would you mind giving a general introduction about the next clip? Just conservatives being bigoted, anti-trans in West Virginia. If you want the cliff notes, we've got the Biden administration tightening rules for obtaining medical records related to abortion. That's good. We have two Supreme Court decisions. Starbucks appears likely to win the Supreme Court dispute with the Federal Labor Agency, and the Supreme Court debating whether homelessness, we should ban homelessness, and updates on the current trial that's going on.
And we would probably be we wouldn't be having this moment right now, I don't believe. I think it would be more of the same. And so, you know, the impact of the one member, one vote initiative and the direct election in this union, this is a direct result of all of that. Everything we've done since then is a result of all of that. When the membership is in charge, when the membership gets to choose their top leadership, it holds leadership accountable to the membership. I've always believed in that. I never had a problem with that, and and I'm very proud of that. I mean, it's an honor of a lifetime to be the first directly elected president of this union, and it's not something that I take lightly. It's a massive responsibility, and I wake up, I dream about this stuff. I wake up living it, and I go to bed thinking about it, and I love every minute of it.
Good. That's how you know that this dude is real. That this dude is real, and I think that all unions should follow this this playbook. It's been widely successful, and the democratization of the workplace is incredibly important. Yeah, a delegate for the people, exactly.
Good. It's really rare today, I feel like, to get people on the same side politically, just because of polarization, how politics is. And it seems to me like the movement that you and your members are building has cross-party appeal.
No, he hasn't just been elected. He got elected a while ago. He got elected a while ago. He's the head of the UAW union, United Auto Workers.
How do you keep members from very different political backgrounds united together?
Well, I mean, that's how this class war has been fought over the last 40 years. That's how the billionaire class and the corporate class have taken everything, is because they've done a masterful job at dividing the masses, at dividing the working class over multiple issues. You know, whether it's guns, whether it's abortion, whether it's who you love, you know, or you know, now it's border security. I mean, whatever they can find to drive a wedge between people. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and you know, and we have to look at the big picture and the big.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is a clip on the. I'm going to play, or after this, I'm going to play a clip from the West Virginia GOP devolving into a bizarre anti-trans race to the bottom, which is par for the course for the GOP. After that, we're going to discuss the Biden administration's rules for obtaining medical records related to abortions. After that, we're going to take a look at two Supreme Court cases that are happening that I believe are important, which is the Starbucks case and the Supreme Court decision whether to ban sleeping outdoors, and update on the Trump trial.
Big picture is while they have us divided and fighting over all these issues, political parties, whatever it is, the billionaire class and corporate class are eating our lunch, and the working class is being left further and further behind. So we just have to talk truth to our members. And even when we talked about this, with the endorsements and stuff, as I told our members, it's nothing to do with party affiliation. It's nothing to do with my opinion. We took the two presidential candidates, put them in their own words and their own actions, their own body of work. It's not, anyone can look it up. And so, when you have the former president on the record, saying workers are to blame for what happened in recession, when you have him doing nothing to help workers when plants are closing, when workers were on strike when he was president, he did nothing, said nothing. And you have a current president that joined workers striking, on a picket line for the first time in our history. You had him get involved to help us save a community. During the recession, he was betting on the American worker, standing up with the American worker, giving us a pathway forward. So, things like that. I mean, we just have to be real with our members and say, look, these are facts. This isn't my words. I didn't make this up. It's not because of a party affiliation. This is the reality of the two candidates you have to vote for in this race. Here's why we're going that direction. At the end of the day, the members still get to vote who they want to vote for. I mean, we can't make someone vote for a candidate. I mean, when you go vote, it's your right. It's your right as an American citizen to vote for whoever the hell you want to vote for, and we support that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about your roots and how that plays in to how you fight these battles. Talk about the role that your faith plays in organizing these companies.
I mean, the role my faith plays is it's a centerpiece of everything. I mean, literally, my running for president of this union was a leap of faith. I mean, when I made the decision to run for this, it was literally, I had to look at myself in the mirror one morning and say, if you don't do anything, will you be able to live with that? Look yourself in the mirror 10 years from now and be okay with that. And I knew I wouldn't. And the next question I had to ask myself was, you say you have faith. It's easy to say you have faith when you're not really stepping outside of your comfort zone. And so, I had to really think about that and just say, okay, you say you have faith. This is a defining moment. If you truly have faith, then you're going to do it, and no matter what the outcome is, you got to be good with it. And I was, win or lose, I was fine with whatever came. And same thing in our contract fight in the Big Three. A lot of things we went after that people said wasn't possible. And now here we are in organizing. It's the same thing. I mean, I truly believe. I mean, working people are tired of being left behind. And when you talk religion, no matter what the religion is, I don't care what someone's belief is, the foundation of all religion is love of your fellow human being. I mean, that, and so somewhere along the way in my lifetime, that's been lost on people because, we've had political parties try to hijack religion and claim that, if you vote for this person, you're not
True.
a good Christian or whatever your religion is. And
This man is not my president. He's my God.
that's all BS. We all know it. Pretty much, everything religion speaks about is love of your fellow human. You can't say that I'm a Christian or whatever that is, and I believe this in this religion, and then say build a wall and these people are all murderers and rapists. That's contrary to everything to do with religion.
Well, to be fair, Trump is not religious in any way, shape, or form. Firefly, welcome. All for justice, for all. Exactly. To be fair, like Trump doesn't believe in any type of religion whatsoever.
They're not. They're
He doesn't care.
destitute people trying to find a better life. My family's been there. My grandparents, when I see people trying to cross the border, I see my grandparents, in the Depression, leaving the South to go north. The only difference is they didn't have to cross federal lines; they crossed state lines. And so, with this organizing campaign, I mean, faith played an important part in it, and I believe members here, workers here, see that, and we're going to continue to, like I said, I mean. My grandmother taught me that as a young kid. Everything you need to know is in the Bible, and I believe that. So,
I
That's right. Trump, the only thing he likes is money. I said it before, he'll adopt any religion as long as he believes it will bring him votes. Correct.
want to hear you talk about political caution versus political courage. When you came along, membership at the UAW was hanging around near a low point. There was a recent scandal that sent leaders to jail. Your own election was pretty close. Yet, right after that, you weren't afraid to come out and, talk class war, make big demands that your members won at the Big Three. Now we're here in Chattanooga with a big win. How do you find the right balance between political caution and political courage in your organizing?
To me, you do your job, you do the job the people sent you here to do, and elections take care of themselves. And, I find an irony, a lot of times reporters will say you only won by, several hundred votes. And I laugh every time I hear that, because if you need to understand the structure of the mountain I was standing against when I decided to run for this. I mean, literally, you're going against a system that's been in place for 80 years and a well-entrenched system where the other side had all the power. They could fly all over the country on the union's dime. They could do plant visits and talk to people, not campaigning. It was under the guise of union business. I mean, myself or other candidates, we had to take vacation and, try to go to plant gates and stand outside a plant gate and wait for workers to come and go and talk to them, and when you only have so much vacation, you can only go so far with that, and you have to travel over the country. And so we had to rely on social media to get the message out. Given all those, I'd say, advantages that the other side had in this election, it's a miracle that I'm sitting here right now. And, but again, I go back to the fact of having UAWD and all those people that work so hard. Because they want
several hundred is amazing. Yep. Winning is winning.
And they want to reform this union. Thousands of people worked their butts off to make sure that we were successful. And but at the end of the day, the fact that the former party got one shot at me in the initial election, then in a runoff, they got a second bite at the apple. And in that second bite at the apple in the runoff, you got to think about it. Everything hinged on the presidency. They put everything they had into winning the presidency, and they almost pulled it off. I mean, they were hiring people. They hired 48 people during the runoff. I mean, staff jobs. I mean, they were rewarding local people, promising jobs, so they're out there campaigning for them. And so to think of all those things that we had, disadvantages we had going into this fight, I mean, it's literally a miracle I'm sitting here as president. So I'm not going to take that lightly.
Thank frickin' goodness for that. Can you imagine if Shawn Fain lost that election? Can you imagine?
I knew how hard it was to get to this point. I've spent 29 years as a member of this union, been a frustrated member for a long time, and I didn't do this to play around. I did this to affect change, not just for our members, but for the entire working class. That's what we're here for, and that's the mission. So whatever happens politically and all that, I'll take it.
I think our culture puts a lot of value on elite college degrees and people that have them. And on the other side of that, it discounts the wisdom of working class people. The movement that you're leading right now has successfully confronted some of the biggest, most powerful companies in the world, and the people who lead them with elite degrees and such. What message does that send about the wisdom and power that ordinary working people have?
Well, I mean, look, I'm a product of I went through an apprenticeship. I mean, I didn't, get a college degree, but I learned a lot. That apprenticeship, not only did it help me, I earned while I learned, I also, endured, construction at that time wasn't good. I endured a lot of layoffs. I was on unemployment. I got to see, when you experience the unemployment system and see how it works, but you hear
Yeah. See how it works or doesn't work? Yeah. For those that have never, for those who have gone through the unemployment system, it is a freaking nightmare. It is a freaking nightmare. I don't speak from firsthand experience, but I do know what it's like because I talk to a lot of people. Based on what my job is, I do talk to a lot of people, and I know how how the unemployment and disability safety nets, to the degree that it exists, works here, and it's not good, not great, not good.
Some of the talking heads talk about all these takers and these people, these lazy people that are, taking unemployment or on welfare. I mean, there's not anyone I know that wants to be on unemployment, that wants to be on welfare. But it's there as a safety net, and that's all that is it's an attack on safety programs, the safety net, because the billionaire class want to take more and more for themselves. And,
True.
So I believe there's immense power in that. It lit a fire in me because I didn't want to live a life like that, and I didn't want others to go through the struggles I went through. So I would take that education over a Harvard degree any day of the week, because meeting with some of these people that went to Harvard. Nothing against that. I mean, they're brilliant people. I mean, and good people. But when you talk about working class issues, unless you've been there and bled the ground, you really can't relate to it. And I think that's where, the plight of working class people.
So freaking true. You don't need a degree necessarily in order to become an expert in something. Years of practice will accomplish it as well. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The millions and millions of citizens, that they've experienced that, and they understand it. They're living it, and who better to fight for those things than people that have lived it.
True.
If you're going to expect Donald Trump, who was, whose daddy was a millionaire and was handed $1 million and starting businesses and failing and given another $1 million, and I mean, that person is not going to identify with what a working class person goes through, and they can't. They're incapable of it.
Correct. Holy shit. Correct. Their interests are diametrically opposed. Okay. A oligarch, an ultra wealthy oligarch's interest are diametrically opposed to the working class. Like they're not incentivized. They're not incentivized to fight for your corner. They're just not going to, because it's going against their own class interests, and they're not going to do that. Trump didn't understand the military either. Yep.
And so, that's I think there's great power in that, and I think we saw it play out in our contract campaign. I mean, as I said, when 75% of Americans supported us in that fight, I believe it's for one reason, because we were talking about wages, about health care, retirement security. Those are things that matter to everybody, because if you're a working class person, I mean, 60% of Americans don't even have any savings, and don't, 14% of Americans have a pension now, so.
14%. Maybe because he never served. That's true. He never served, but yeah. MAGA cultists are so devoted to Trump, there's no reaching them with pointing that out and having it make any meaningful effect on them. 100%. Sad year in the 2024. America doesn't even have these things. I agree. I agree. But yes, these MAGA cultists, they like, by the way, just to emphasize, yes, you can literally put this in front of them, and they won't have it. They're just not having it. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know.
There's major concerns in this country. There is a retirement insecurity epidemic in this country right now, and it's going to continue to grow. And so those are the issues that matter to Americans. And so I believe that's why 75%, that is what spoke to them. And I believe, politicians, if they would focus on the real issues that matter to people, we could accomplish great things. But unfortunately, they want to focus on division.
And as he just mentioned, I don't know if he's going to make this connection, or maybe he does in his head subconsciously. But earlier he mentioned that all of these big interests, like oligarchs and the billionaire class, the capitalist class, is what he's really talking about. The capitalist class, does implement a strategy of divide and conquer. And he just brought up an important section.
80% of Americans don't even have any savings, you know, and don't, you know, what, 14% of Americans have a pension now, you know, so there's major concerns in this country. There is a retirement insecurity epidemic in this country right now, and it's going to continue to grow. And so those are the issues that matter to Americans. And so I believe that's why 75%, that is what spoke to them. And I believe, you know, politicians, if they would focus on the real issues that matter to people.
There you go. If politicians would focus on the real issue, they're not, they can't, because the capitalist class has them. We don't even have to speculate because they were willing to do that on January 6th. True. I genuinely think most would literally sacrifice life for Trump. 100%. I mean, like, dude, the guy literally said, he can shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't lose votes. Like, he knew exactly, like, the dude knew exactly what he was talking about. The dude knew exactly what he was doing. MAGA used to be a cult, now it's a religion. MAGA is majorly based on Christianity. It's just not, Christianity rubs against others at this point. No, it's not that. I can assure you that the problem with MAGA is not just that it's a Christian movement. It's not just that it's a Christian movement. I can assure you that that's not the core issue. I think the fanaticism and the zealotry plays a part, but yeah, we're talking about way bigger problems than just Christianity versus non-Christianity. I don't know.
You know, we could accomplish great things, but unfortunately, they want to focus on division and other issues that really working class people at the end of the day don't care about.
Right. What do you want to say to the non-union workers who just watched the Volkswagen workers here win their union? What do you want to say to those workers?
I mean, this is about you having control over your life. You know, that's really, it's what our fight was about. You know,
Yes.
taking back our lives, taking back control. And the only way you do that, when you don't have a union, you're an at-will employee. You know, you have no rights. The employer, your boss, has all the control. And that's why they fight so hard to discourage you from having a union, because they don't want you to have any control over your life. They don't.
Yes. The democratization of the workplace is incredibly important. I define the difference between religion and cults in the number of followers. True. Carpe, welcome. Did I do it right? Yes. All right. And when it comes down to the number of followers, Trump has met that criteria. I believe so. Self-determination is a step too far for capitalists. They want their wage slavery and they want it forever. Correct. That's why people, things like this are so important. You know, while we are still allowed to operate and do things like this, I think that this is one way, one of many ways that the working class has to essentially balance the scales, if you will. The Christianity that they describe to is mainly evangelical. It's largely a social status marker to say that they are. They don't even follow the teachings or express the moral compass that they state to believe in. Right, because it's not about the religion in and of itself. All it does is serve as a vehicle, and it serves as a shield. It serves as a vehicle to exercise control, and it serves as a shield because they want to pretend or throw up a thin veneer of some kind of morality to justify or to hide behind the actual nefarious motives behind it. The Christianity is a smiling face that they put on their white supremacy. Yeah, I mean that's a shorthand. Yeah.
Don't want you to have any say in your life.
Correct. It's both a vehicle. It's both a vehicle to inject authoritarian control, and it's a shield because they get to hide behind it with a smiling face and pretend like they're the ones that they're the ones who are doing good, right? Like, don't we're trying to save you, kind of deal. Virtue signaling for nefarious purposes, exactly. It qualifies as a form of gaslighting. Yeah, I think so.
They want all the control and they want all the power, and as
True.
long as they don't have a union, the company keeps all that. So
True.
the only way to change that is by organizing, and when you do that, you're gonna realize a life you
Gaslighting isn't even real.
never thought was possible. I lived it. My grandparents, I've lived it personally. My grandparents lived the American dream, and it's because of the benefit of joining a union.
Yeah. This win is historic for so many reasons, but a big one is because of where it is. We're in the South here. It's a place that has a lot of very anti-union politicians. Just last week, we saw a united front of 6 governors come out and say that a union win here would go against the very way of life in the South.
What? Antebellum slave owners were Christian, correct. And why? Because it was a vehicle that they could use to exercise control, right? And still hide behind the smile, behind the white supremacy. Yes.
What does it mean to have the first win after the big 3 happen in the South?
I can't even really put it into words what it means. I really, it's going to take time for this to sink in, I think. But, and they're right. It is going to disturb their way of life. And when I say their, I mean the billionaire class and the corporate class, because all those 6 governors that wrote that letter, they're puppets for the corporate class. They don't give a damn about the people they represent. How can you stand there as an elected representative and tell workers you deserve less?
Because capital tells them to. Because capital tells them to. They are there to serve capital.
We support an economy that abuses you so that these corporations can make more and more money on top of the already massive profits that your labor has created. I'm sorry, but I don't care what your party is. If that's what you believe, you don't give a damn about the people you represent. And at some point, those workers are going to realize that. And that's what needs to happen. But it's a shame that I think it's a sign and it's a testament to how out of control the wealth gap has went in this country and in this world. Three American families have as much wealth as the bottom 50% of Americans. I mean, think about that. Three families have as much wealth as half of Americans. That is criminal. And if that's what these governors support as a lifestyle like that, shame on them.
Nice. If you want to blow up a house, sabotage a gas pipe is a safe way to do so. No, that's not what we're talking about when we mean gaslighting.
Yeah, it feels like there's real momentum building here. Mercedes has their union election next month. Where's the fight go after that?
It's really, that's the beauty of what we're doing with this organizing campaign. It's sort of like our Big 3 campaign. We had a lot of options and we would analyze things as it progressed and we would make adjustments as we kept moving. And so organizing is the same way. I believe now that we've won this fight in Chattanooga at Volkswagen, I believe it's going to inspire a lot of these non-union workers all over the South. And so we'll continue to analyze, where momentum is growing and keep focusing and just keep bringing more and more on board and keep winning more and more and watch another domino fall and keep building on it. And we'll completely change work life in the South for people and for the better. And like I said, they'll get their fair share.
Amazing. How have these really significant wins, like the Big 3, like Chattanooga, how do they change the outlook for what's possible with the UAW?
Well, I mean, I've said this when I ran for this office, and I've said it for years before that. I mean, you look at the situation prior to this. I mean, you have to bargain good contracts. You have to show bargaining and organizing go hand in hand. When you bargain good contracts and people see the difference, they want to be a part of that success. The way it had been, because we've been on this race to the bottom for the last 40 years, where the companies were in the big three were saying, oh, we have to compete with the Toyotas and the Nissans and the Volkswagens in the South. Well, no, we don't. The competition is code for race to the bottom.
Yep.
So, and
Holy yikes.
When our union had that philosophy of agreeing to those type of things, when non-union workers were looking at us and looking at them, they saw the same thing. When you can't see the difference, what's the selling point? And so I believe, the big three contract fight really showed a stark contrast between us and the non-union workers. And you saw a result of that almost immediately. I mean, within a week after we ratified the final agreement of the big three, it was Toyota or who gave an 11% pay increase right out the gate. And
exactly. So even unionization efforts benefit non-union workers. So every worker should be cheering on unionization efforts.
And we took credit for that right away. We said, thank you very much. It's a UAW bump. And all of a sudden, all these other non-union companies started following suit. And why did they do that? Because they don't want these workers having any control of their life. So, that was a direct result of the success we had in bargaining. And so I believe the workers, they see that for what it is, and now they want the rest of their share of this. And the only way they're going to get that is by organizing.
Thanks so much for the interview here. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, it's our generation's defining moment, and we're going to seize it.
Heck yeah. Mercedes is up next, folks.
I'm not sure what's in the water in West Virginia, but it can't be good because things are getting pretty weird in that state lately, and I have to say, as an outsider, I'm very concerned. Now, I say this specifically about their political situation because it is seemingly more bizarre than it usually is, especially when it comes to their governor race on the GOP side. So, as I understand it, there's 6 prominent candidates running for their gubernatorial GOP nomination. And of those 6, there are 3 main contenders according to polls. And that includes Moore Capito, who is the demon offspring of U.S. Senator Shelley Moore Capito.
Things have always been weird there, true.
There's Chris Miller, business person and masked villain lookalike. And last but not least, there's Attorney General Patrick Moore.
That's so true. When it comes to the rights of union workers, I have to confess I'm not exactly keeping up. Well, here, the best way I can describe it in the U.S. There's just not a lot, and it's not a lot, and the fact that all of this is making waves should tell you that yeah. Just think human rights.
Morrissey, who has a pretty sizable lead. And I'll keep it real, I wasn't necessarily expecting Republicans in West Virginia to nominate someone normal per se, but it really does seem like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel with these 3 dipshits, because they're all currently locked in a race to the bottom to be as transphobic as possible, and as a result, they've managed to produce some of the most bizarre, stupid political ads I think I've ever seen, which says a lot because I've been doing this for a while. Now, I say this because you could convince me that these are actual parodies if you just showed them to me and you didn't give me the context. Like it's a bad SNL skit, right? So let's get to them. Matthew Klein of Cook Political Report put together a thread of all these ads that these guys are running, which I'll link to down below. And I want to start with the first attack ad on Chris Miller. That's this guy, Mask lookalike, and Mask villain lookalike specifically, and he's being attacked by a PAC supporting Patrick Morrissey, who's the Attorney General. And before I show you this, I just want to reiterate, this is real. This is not satire. But without further ado, let's watch.
He, him, she, her, they, them. When Chris Miller was a board member at an in-state university, he looked the other way as pro-transgender events happened on his watch. Drag shows, a transgender homecoming gala.
Pro transgender events. Okay.
And even, quote, a trans closet that provided items to support sex changes for students. Chris Miller
A thing that definitely happens.
protected they, them, not us. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
He protected they/them, not us.
Yeah, again, literally the only joke, the one joke that these people are capable of coming up with. I missed another one. I can assure you, it's okay.
Wow. I wonder if he knows that as the governor, you're going to have non-binary constituents and you represent them too. They don't want to acknowledge that. Now, what I love the most
Yeah, F you, not them. Don't mess with me when I'm eating guacamole. Noted.
about this ad is that the crux of it stems from this idea that LGBTQ people existed on campus, and that was bad specifically for Chris Miller because he was a board member and he did nothing. I mean, I guess I don't understand. What's the expectation, right? What do you want him to do? Shut down LGBTQ plus events because they would...
Yes. Yes. That's literally what these people would want if they had their if they had their way. Like, yeah, absolutely. That noise Mike made sounded like the tool breaking noise from Minecraft. Yeah, it's exactly what they want. Correct. That's literally it. You can cut. You can stop right there. It's literally what they want. They want they want queer people to just not exist. That's it.
Would exist if he weren't the fucking board member. So why exactly does this say anything about him? The implication is that, he's LGBTQ plus friendly, when in actuality, as you're going to find out, he's not. But Morrissey's team or Super PAC, which they're definitely not coordinating with, thinks that they can, I guess, drive down support for Miller if they portray him as pro-LGBTQ plus. And there's so...
But now I want to know who this guy is. The commentator, Mike Figueroa. And just to be clear, Mike Figueroa is the commentator, the main channel of the video we're watching. The clips that he's going over are different GOP candidates, and he just went over one of the ads that they produced. Cognizant, welcome.
So many questions about this ad because it's so stupid, but mostly I want to know about this trans closet that supposedly performed sex change surgeries on students. I think they said they provided items to handle sex change surgeries. There's a lot to ask about this because how does that work? I mean, are they performing gender affirming surgery?
No, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't have to work. See, that's the thing. Like, there is no logic here. It doesn't have to work. It doesn't have to make sense. There doesn't have to be evidence. It's all running on a constant outrage hate machine. That's it. That's the beginning and end of how this works, right? Like, this is a tried and true conservative method. That's it. Like, there's nothing new or novel. It's just the same repurposed, repackaged outrage hate machine that's been pumping for since the beginning of time. Political ads are not governed by truth in advertising. No. I'm just saying, like, the way that they present anything in terms of conservatism, they don't necessarily need to be in the plane of reality. They just need to invoke a certain feeling Usually hate or bigotry. Usually hate and bigotry. And that's it. Outrage. What are you supposed to be mad about now? What's this week's outrage? Right? Is it trans people using bathrooms? Is it made up stories about litter boxes in classrooms? I don't know. Whatever it is that you need to be outraged about, that's what this is. Hate, bigotry, and fear. Correct. Which, yeah. Small brains require small news.
Surgeries in the closet? Because if that's the case, that's just impressive. Now, it might not be the most sterile, but I'm no expert. But I mean, I want to know more about that because it sounds so outlandish that it almost makes me wonder if it's bullshit. Now, next one. So a PAC supporting Chris Miller flipped the script on Morrissey and put out the following ad and said, actually, no, you're the one who's pro-LGBTQ. And they even managed to get in a dig at his weight.
Whew.
How low would you go to make a buck? As a lobbyist, Patrick Morrissey helped a leading provider of child sex change procedures, lobbying the government to pay them with seniors' Medicare. Morrissey even lobbied for a drug company that helps turn boys into girls. Morrissey is small in stature, but has a big appetite for getting rich at our expense. Paid for by West Virginia Forward. Not
Jesus Christ.
authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
He has a big appetite for getting rich at our expense. Get it? Because he's overweight. Brilliant. Had to throw that in there. But I also want to know more about this ad, specifically the lobbying that he allegedly did on behalf of Big Trans. Because I guess that he, in his job as a lobbyist, tried to make sure that more kids would be able to have sex change procedures at the expense of government. So we're talking about socialism for trans kids.
Oh, no, not the socialism. Yeah, got him. What drugs change your sex? Cross hormone. Evoke might be the better word than invoke. Yes, maybe. Yes, that's the word. Not invoking. Yes, evoking. You're right. You're right. I'd imagine they are referencing HRT. Yes.
That this GOP AG
I'll get to bed. See you soon. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate
supposedly lobbied for? That seems a little bit weird, right? Now, obviously, I feel like I shouldn't have to say this at this point, but bottom surgeries are not performed on anyone under the age of 18. And this ad not only lies about that, but it takes the lie to such outrageous lengths that I don't know that even GOP voters are going to fall for it, because it's pretending as if Morrissey lobbied on behalf of Big Trans specifically to take away Medicare money from old people in order to trans the kids. So they expect people to be like, oh my God, my grandma can't get her arthritis medication because Morrissey is taking the money and
They'll believe it. They'll believe it. They'll believe it 100%. Like these people will literally be like, yep, that's what's happening. No critical thinking past that point, other than like, oh, that ad said they're transing the kids by putting us, because it's usually boomers that this is probably going to be targeted to, by throwing us under the bus. That must be true, and now I'm angry.
Trans and kids. It's so stupid. It's I'm trying to contain myself here. Okay, next ad. We're gonna move on because if I dwell too much on it, it's gonna rot my brain. So Moore Capito, the demon spawn of Shelley Moore Capito, thank you for giving us him. He decided to insert himself into this conversation with an ad that spreads more hysteria over, of course, made up bullshit about trans people.
She trains at 6 a.m. every morning.
If a man wears this, he's definitely getting lucky tonight.
Most jeans are
I
either
love
super
that
bad-
this was the ad that they decided to play. Nice.
She spent years working to shave off seconds. She's the captain of her school's team. He's just a mid-pack finisher. But not today. Unfortunately, this competition was over before it even began. Woke left-wing politicians.
Woke like. Are you serious? Can we get like an actual example of this happening?
Conditions are destroying girls' sports. Thanks
Sadly, Boomer includes some Gen Xers too. I gave a ride to two people who are a year older than me, and they had a huge Boomer energy.
to Delegate Moore Capito. Girls' sports in West Virginia are protected.
Hey, quick question. If the thing you're saying is a problem is actually a problem and is actually definitely happening, why do you literally have to hire actors to pretend like it's happening? I mean, is there not one example of a trans athlete, or in the case of the ad, a cis boy literally joining a girls' sports team and ruining it? I mean...
Yeah, it does, because it doesn't exist. I was about to say that, yeah. Have there been any trans runners as adults? I know of one swimmer. Yeah, no. To my knowledge... Okay, like first of all, let us just like, you know, let us just drop the freaking facade, okay, that these people pretend that they actually care about women's sports when they constantly make fun of women's sports. They don't care about women's sports. They don't care about girls' sports at all. They don't care about the high school track team. I can assure you. So let us just dispense with that. You're correct. As far as I know, I have never seen that. Kali Kala, I have never seen that. I have never seen a headline. I have never seen not even as like plastered like wall to wall coverage that conservatives would be hopping on this. Nothing like that. There, to my knowledge, I have not seen a trans person. Either trans female or trans male, be a runner. I'm sorry, but like, it just doesn't happen. That's why they needed to literally fabricate this. I've heard of cis women athletes being accused of being trans because of their athleticism. Correct, because the anti-trans bigotry, just ultimately also is intertwined or in you can't detach it from misogyny. Literally having to make complete dramatization based on no real person. Exactly. Any woman that looks more male than they will not accept. It's rooted in sexism, and sexists want women soft, otherwise you're gay. Correct. According to the right wing, they care it's a controversial subject that they can bully. They care insofar as it's a controversial subject that they can bully a minority while simultaneously playing the virtue card. Right. While no one is buying that. There was some sprinting association that instituted a legal testosterone level, which only got a cis woman banned. Jeez. And yet, I bet that these people will still be like, yep, and that's why we need to protect women's sports from the trans people. Hard women make me gay. AF. Yeah, I meant treating people like this 100%. 100%. Because at the end of the day, it is just rooted in misogyny. It's cis women getting attacked for using the wrong bathroom. Yes, that's also a thing. Yes, I think we even went over a story just like this, where it was a cis woman who got berated because they thought she was trans. Like, how about you mind your effing business when you go to the bathroom, right? Like, these people are just lost.
If this is a big problem, then why not show like newspaper headlines? And it's because he's full of shit. They're all shadowboxing here, but when it comes to trans people in sports, Moore Capito is an amateur, right? Because Chris Miller stepped in with an ad that really ups the ante when it comes to trans people in sports. And he not only says that trans people in sports are bad implicitly, but he goes an extra step to portray trans athletes as predators because, of course.
I'm Chris Miller. As the father of an 11-year-old girl, you're darn right. I don't want her sharing a locker room with biological males. Protecting the integrity and fairness of girls' sports is common sense. If we expect our kids to tell the truth, we can't let the woke left redefine it. Fairy tales aren't facts. A boy is not a girl. And girls' locker rooms are for girls. I'm Chris Miller, and they'll stay that way when I'm governor.
The closer the camera got to him, the more uncomfortable I felt.
True. Also, like, hey man, that's kind of weird. What are you teaching your sons? That's kind of weird, dude. Since Jesus didn't have a biological father, there's no way he could get a Y chromosome, hence Jesus is trans. True.
Watching that, I feel like he's someone who should probably stay away from locker rooms,
Yes.
even for control.
Yes, 100%. Jeez, I didn't even watch this video. Yeah, dude. What type of lessons are you giving to your children, dude? Holy yikes!
Ads about made-up problems, but I mean, stepping back and thinking about all of these ads that we've seen so far that definitely caused brain damage in all of our heads. I apologize, viewers. The common thread here is that all of these gubernatorial candidates are making shit up about trans people. They're shadowboxing. They're proposing solutions to problems that don't actually exist because they don't actually want to address the real problems facing the people of West Virginia. West Virginia ranks 47th in education, 47th in the economy, 48th in economic opportunity, 50th in infrastructure, and 50th in healthcare. And to make matters worse, 1 in 5 people in West Virginia are literally illiterate. It's more than 1 in 5. It's 20.9%. And yet, these candidates, they don't have a coherent set of policies that they're running on to help the people of West Virginia. Chris Miller, for example, doesn't even have a policy page on his campaign website.
Whew. Meanwhile, it's actual men as men going into women's restaurants, politicians, clergy, school staff, and police officers that are sexually assaulting little girls. Yep, it's always making a panic of people that aren't doing the things that others are doing and nothing being done about. Yeah, and coincidentally, those are the same type of people that they are protecting, right? You know, these people protect the church. These people protect police, so on and so forth. Yep. He's teaching them supremacist authoritarianism, no doubt about it.
And the only mention of policies includes vague references to transparency, protecting kids from trans people, because of course, and the Second Amendment. He also attacks Biden for inflation and fentanyl, but offers zero solutions. Now, when it comes to more Capito, he also doesn't have an issues page, but he does have 2 sentences dedicated to some of his priorities. But of course, he has the most to say about the big bad trans boogeyman. Now, the only one who has an actual issues page is Morrissey, and it might not be very fleshed out, but it's something. The fact that these candidates are turning their campaigns into a transphobic race to the bottom is an embarrassment. And it's not embarrassing for trans people, it's embarrassing for them. Trans people aren't the reason why people in West Virginia don't have healthcare or quality education or can't read. But yet these self-serving politicians are trying to create solutions to problems that don't exist because they don't actually care about the real problems that do exist, that do affect the people of West Virginia.
Right, and they're not interested in solving any of those problems. Because, well, capital must be protected.
And even if they did know about the problems affecting the people in their state, they wouldn't have the courage to take on their corporate donors who are bleeding their state dry. But I've made all of you suffer so much by listening to these dumbass ads. And now it's time for the good news, because the bill that More Capito took credit for that banned trans athletes from school sports, guess what? That was blocked by the 4th Circuit Court of Appeals on grounds that it violates the U.S. Constitution. Furthermore, 20 anti-LGBTQ plus bills, most of which were anti-trans, by the way, all died in West Virginia. Now, that's not to say that they're going to stop cooking up bigoted bullshit against trans people, but it's just nice to acknowledge that they've been taking a lot of L's lately. Now, last but not least, these kinds of bigoted campaigns, they might still be common in red states, but it's going to be a relic of the past very soon. And I say this because...
Man, I hope so. Exactly. Yeah, there is a problem with it being embarrassing for the candidates. They have no shame.
They just don't work. And not only that, as Glad explains, candidates who frequently discuss restrictions on transgender youth are creating more opposition than support for their campaigns. 53% of both registered and likely 2024 voters say they oppose a political candidate who speaks frequently about restricting access to healthcare and participation in sports for transgender youth. Also, voters overwhelmingly believe that decisions about healthcare and mental health services for transgender youth should be made by parents. 81% 81% of likely 2024 voters, 83% of swing voters, and 73% of Trump voters agree. All categories overwhelmingly agree Republicans should stop focusing on restricting women's rights and banning medical care for transgender youth, and instead focus on addressing inflation, job creation, and healthcare costs. 94% of LGBTQ voters, 76% of registered voters, 76% of likely 2024 voters, and 82% of swing voters agree. And on top of that, these kinds of campaigns also have a galvanizing effect among LGBTQ plus people. So
yeah, also like even normie people, even people who are, you know, who don't spend their time like we do, just deeply entrenched in politics and what you know, what's going on. Even like the most normie of normie people, like they just want people to be left alone, right? Like stop trying to go into people's like bathrooms. Stop trying to regulate you know, where people go to the bathroom. Stop trying to, you know, be incredibly creepy about children. Like, come on, dudes. Come on.
So queer people who typically aren't that interested in politics might actually feel motivated to come out and vote against these politicians who are campaigning against them, which isn't that surprising. So even though the ads that we've seen today from these GOP losers might make you feel depressed, as it did with me when I first saw them, keep in mind that these campaigns are a dying breed because they're just not effective. And the one thing that politicians care more about than their hatred of trans people is their own careers.
Maybe. Maybe. All right, I forgot to show this clip. I'm sorry, folks. This was supposed to come after the Sean Fain interview.
You're within spitting distance.
Regarding the Mercedes-Benz unionization effort.
You're within spitting distance of a life-changing victory right here. That's why Mercedes is doing what companies always do, pulling out every trick in the book to instill fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or sow division among the workers, to scare people away from standing up for a better life.
My company's official public position is that this is all up to the workers.
Yeah, which is bullshit. That is bullshit. Like, the company's position is that they need to do everything that they can to protect their interest, and that means, and that is fundamentally against the interest of the workers. Anti-trans messaging did horribly in the 2022 midterms, and that was followed by a whole bunch of anti-trans bills in 2023. Yes, that's true. That's why I was a little bit like, do they actually? I don't know. I think these people will still be willing to try, you know, to push these anti-trans legislation.
They're allowed to make their own choice. Then every day inside the plant, I see the anti-union campaign.
The union cannot guarantee you anything. Over a 3-year contract, UAW stands to collect tens of millions of dollars in dues to government paychecks. I believe you shouldn't have to pay union dues and generate millions of dollars per year for an organization where you have no transparency with that money.
That's not true. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. The freaking UAW, thanks to Sean Fain, is literally a one-person, one-vote system. Maybe if there wasn't so many hormones and genetic disruptors and mutagens in our food supply, there wouldn't be so many children as born transgender. Sorry if this take is too hot. I just don't believe it. I just don't think that there's a connection at all. I do think that our food supply is pretty terrible, but I don't know if that's like, if there's an actual like causation correlation type deal. Lots of trans folks back in history. That's not how that works at all. Trans people have always been around, and I don't think the percentage is any higher than it's always been. I would buy that. Yeah. I would buy that. I don't think so. I don't think so. Cognizant.
Captive audience meetings where our CEO said the UAW can't help us.
And then he was telling like the union wouldn't help. The union's not good for us because right now we're a family.
Oh, red flag. Red flag. The moment a company tells you that you don't need a union because we're a family and that would all have to change if you are in a union, we can no longer. That's some freaking like that is abuser type language, okay? Holy yikes. Can we rewind that for a second? Native Americans revered them. Yeah, I believe they are called twin-spirited or two-spirited. Yeah, anyways.
Our CEO said the UAW can't help us.
And then he was telling the union.
The CEO, by the way.
Union wouldn't help. The union's not good for us because right now we're a family and that would all change.
Yeah, if you join the union, okay, listen, we're family. We're family, but if you join the union, that's going to have to change. You know what I mean? What? I thought we were family.
But this is definitely not how I treat my family.
They had their time to speak up. They had their time to change and do right by us.
To paraphrase for NG, treat your employees like family, exploit them.
And now it's gone. We're looking forward to UAW representing us.
Based.
Because this is about power. And right now they have it and they don't want to share it.
As a worker at a non-union auto plant, trying to form a union at my workplace, I think it's absolutely terrible that I don't have the right to make that decision independently of my management's influence.
They have pretty much shown a video, if I'm not mistaken, every single week about the union.
They can make us sit and watch those. People want to get up and leave. I've asked my supervisor, do I have to watch this? And he says, yes, you have to watch it.
You may have heard promises of what the UAW will give you in a contract.
It appears like more trans people all of a sudden. It's called the Bader Meinhof, aka the frequency illusion. It's a cognitive bias in which a person notices something more frequently after recently becoming aware of it. Kind of like when you kind of notice when you notice like a certain model of a car. Like for example, when I first got my the car that I used to have previously, I really like it. It's a little Mazda. It's a little Mazda, and I started noticing the little Mazdas everywhere. After I bought that car, years ago.
It's time you hear the other side of the story.
The company's just trying to make it look like, having a union in the workplace is just totally negative.
Collective bargaining is an uncertain process that could result in you getting more, less, or the same as what you have now.
I thought they were supposed to be neutral, but this really don't seem neutral.
It is not in the company's interest. They are never going to be neutral. They can't be neutral. They literally cannot be neutral. Period. When it comes to any threat to the dynamics going on here between the capitalist class and the worker class, that's not acceptable. They can't be neutral.
A good example of how this could play out is the Starbucks coffee company. As of today, Starbucks has not yet signed its first union contract.
And it's just so misleading, if not an outright lie.
They're having the group leaders talk in meetings and kind of tell stories about the union and what it did to different family members.
So this is just me speaking to y'all, not as your boss, but as your friend. Okay?
My current
This is me speaking to y'all, not as a boss, okay, which incidentally I am, but as a friend. Bro. Come on.
Group leader, She talked to us about her experience with a union. She said things as in along the line of, we get a union, she can't come help us like she normally does. She won't be able to give us our bathroom breaks, basically saying that, you know.
Dude, that is abuse. That is abuser tactics. Come on. Tell me I'm wrong. That is literally abuse tactics. That's like abuser tactics, okay? Jesus. Like that is abuse language. That's like saying like that. By the way, that's like implicit. Yeah, implicit threat, 100%. That's like, you know, like saying like, oh, you know, you don't have to leave me, all right? You don't have to stay with me. I'm just saying I can't guarantee your safety. Does that make sense? Like, how would that sound? That should raise the most biggest of big red flags. You're right. I would control my own bathroom breaks. Correct. And that's the issue, right? That's literally like a freaking that is abuser language. That is abuser language. Like, oh, you know, we used to be like this. You know, we used to be like this, but I can't guarantee that. Oh, I'm just me. That's such BS. I'm in a union and nobody not getting bathroom breaks because of it, right? I think that to be as charitable as possible. I think what they meant was that like, oh, I can't just, you know, adjust your schedule on the fly, or I can't make that decision because the union is in the way, and I have to make and I have to go through the union to make, you know, to liaison between you and the worker and yada yada yada. You know what I mean? I think that that's what they mean, or as a interpretation from context that we have. Don't be charitable. Charitable as in like, this is what I can derive from as far as the context goes. But no, it's just outright abuser language, right? It's just outright abuser language.
The union would stop all of that.
For the people that want the union, I'm the enemy.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not your enemy.
To me, it's all in an attempt to sway numbers or to intimidate people.
Today, I want to share my opinion with you, and it's clear. I don't believe the UAW can have us to be better.
When the CEO spoke and was telling us his negative feelings about the union, I kind of felt like, you know, how dare a person leading this company making potentially millions of dollars a year talk to us workers like he knows what's best for us.
I think it was really ridiculous.
I mean, like you can tell that like you can tell that this dude's freaking out because like he had to fly in, okay? He had to freaking fly in to make these speeches. You're being too charitable. There's still that's still too incredulous. I'm completely agreeing. I'm saying that it's abuser language. Current trans visibility is because more socially accepted by society and safe for all over to live more openly despite the threats against them from right-wing hate groups and legislators. So we do see more presence, but they have always been with us, just not as visible. It's not because more and more kids are being made trans. Yep. So to these conservatives, they have that cognitive bias that they think that it's more and more kids being indoctrinated and being made trans, right, by the woke left mob. Got it.
Of him to stand up there and say he cared when he really didn't. I was on the front row. This man was reading a teleprompter. You know, I feel like...
Listen, the CEO can never, ever... the interest of a CEO, the interest of a capitalist will never, ever, 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 ever be in line with the interest of the worker. It can't be. Does that make sense? It cannot be. Okay? So whenever a boss, a CEO, tells you that, oh, you know, I just care, I just want what's best for you, it is impossible. It is impossible for the CEO's interests and the interests of the working class or the workers be the same. Okay? It is impossible for those two things to be the same or to be compatible. They can't care. Does that make sense? These peasants won't care if I actually care.
Like, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the team members. They care about their pockets.
I wish.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And by definition, that means that they can't care about the workers. They can't.
The CEO understood that even though maybe we don't have 4-year degrees, we may not be engineers, or we may not have years of management experience, that the workers actually build the cars, and we know how valuable we are to the company and what we contribute.
And I want y'all to know, y'all my people, and I got you. And if you don't think that's the truth, try me sometime. Let the company mistreat you, and then call on me and see what I do. And I won't never let you down, regardless of what the future holds.
I just hope to win a better future for the people who come after, and it really is a better future for Alabama, because I feel like we've been put on the low ball for too long.
Right now we're being pushed against the wall, and if we don't do something, it's just going to get 10 times worse.
For those co-workers who have family, do it for your family. That's why I'm doing it. My kids are the single most important thing to me, and I'm looking to brighten their future.
Are you ready to fight? Yes! I can't hear you? Yes! Hey, who are we? UAW! Can't hear you? UAW! One more time? UAW!
Bubba-based. It's inherently an adversarial relationship. A worker wants to work as little as possible for the most pay they can get, and the boss/owner wants them to work as long as possible for the least amount of pay. Exactly. So there is never going to be a world where a boss, a CEO, capitalist, owner, to have the same interests as the worker, right? Like it's just not compatible. So like to sit there and say like, oh, I care about my workers and yada yada yada. No, you can't. In order for your pockets to get deeper, you can't. Right, if they could get away with it, they would pay you nothing. Exactly. At my workplace, I would say I have the closest environment to a union without having one. The executives know that without a stable workforce, their business and model would collapse instantly. Replace all the CEOs with AI, and they fight to get wages down to the point. Exactly. Exactly. There's never going to be companies who are like openly supportive of raising wages. It has to be forced. It has to be forced. Like every time any of these like wage legislation comes up, like companies rally to each other and fight it. Like the same, the restaurant association that fought the minimum wage in California. Yeah. No capitalist is going to be like, oh yeah, they definitely deserve higher wages. That's not a thing that's going to happen. Behind the scenes, they will always fight to squeeze the most out of you as possible. That is literally what they do. ACAB works for capitalists too. True. Yes. It does. Starbucks appears to likely to win Supreme Court dispute with Federal Labor Agency because, of course, the U.S. Supreme Court appeared to side with Starbucks today, in a case that could make it harder for the federal government to seek injunctions when it suspects a company of interfering in unionization campaigns. And justices, yeah, so cool, nice. Hey, real quick, how much money have these justices received in bribes, and how much of that can be connected? I wonder. But not for cats. Some cats are demons, that's true. I literally named my kitten Devil. That's also true. Adorable little furball. Justices noted during the oral arguments of that Congress requires the NLRB to seek such injunctions in federal court, and said that gives the courts the duty to consider several factors, including whether the board will ultimately be successful in its administrative case against the company. The district court is an independent check, so it seems like it should be doing just what district courts do, since it was given the authority to do so, said Justice Amy Coney Barrett. But the NLRB says that the 1947 National Labor Relations Act, the law that governs the agency, has allowed courts to grant temporary injunctions if it finds the request just and proper. The agency said that the law doesn't require it to prove other factors and was intended to limit the role of the courts. The case that made it to the High Court began in February 2022 when Starbucks fired 7 workers who were trying to unionize their Tennessee store. The NLRB obtained a court order forcing the company to rehire these workers while the case wound its way to the agency's administrative proceedings, and such proceedings can take up to 2 years, which makes perfect sense, right? Because, hey, wait a minute, we don't know. We need to. We don't know if this was done correctly. We don't know if Starbucks was in the right. So why are we putting these workers out on the street? So absolutely, it should be that you have to prove that Starbucks did have a right to fire these people. Does that make sense? Instead of just kicking them out and forcing these workers to be out of their job while proceedings can take up to 2 years to determine whether or not, whatever. It does kind of irk the higher-ups that they pay so much work per hour in the office, but in turn we consistently turn out world-class support agents, and the majority of trainers for all the other facilities around the world come from our office. Guaranteed, though, if they could get away with it, they would try to nickel and dime you every which way. How many justices have stock in Starbucks? True. Or maybe it's not Starbucks. Maybe it's the precedent that it sets that may be the goal here. A district court judge agreed with the NLRB and issued a temporary injunction ordering Starbucks to rehire the workers in August of 2022. After the 6th U.S. Circuit of Appeal upheld that ruling, Starbucks then appealed to the Supreme Court. 5 of the 7 workers are still employed at the Memphis store, while the other 2 remain involved with the organization effort. According to the Workers United, the union organizing Starbucks workers, the Memphis store voted to unionize in June of 2022. Starbucks asked the Supreme Court to intervene because it says federal appeals courts don't agree on the standards that the NLRB must meet when it requests a temporary injunction against a company. Yeah, come on, man. This is nonsense. Nonsense. My local Starbucks has AI drive-thru. In its review of what transpired at the Starbucks store in Memphis, the 6th Circuit required the NLRB to establish 2 things: that it had reasonable cause to believe the unfair labor practice occurred, and that a restraining order would be just and proper. But the other federal courts have required that the NLRB meet a tougher 4-factor test used when other federal agencies seek restraining orders, including showing what's likely to prevail in the administrative case and that the employees would suffer irreparable harm without an injunction. Which, hello, you're firing them over retaliation, which is an obvious violation of work law, which is an obvious violation of labor law. You can't fire employees over retaliation because they wanted to form a union. Forming a union is your right, no matter where you are. No matter where you are, okay? Full stop. Your right to organize and your right to form a union exists wherever you are in the United States. Suspect blaming, welcome. My local Starbucks has AI drive-through. Interesting. I mean, frees people up for better things, but yeah. Also saw the Wendy's AI drive-through on Twitter. She noted that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson appeared to agree with the NLRB's arguments that Congress meant for the agency to operate under a different standard. She noted that the NLRB has already determined it is likely to prevail in a case by the time it seeks an injunction. She also noted that the injunctions are very rare. In the NLRB's 2023 fiscal year, it received 19,869 charges of unfair labor practice, but authorized the filing of just 14 cases seeking temporary injunction. I appreciate that the standards we need to look at, and I understand 4 factors versus 2 factors, but this is not sounding like a huge problem, she said. Justice Sotomayor wondered aloud if whatever the Supreme Court decides will be moot, since the injunction would have expired, and the NLRB judge may have ruled in Starbucks' case by the time the court's decision is published. But she also seemed to agree that the courts should have a clear role in the NLRB case. It's the court that has to decide the likelihood of merit. The oral arguments took place even as animosity between the Workers United and Starbucks has begun to fade. The two sides announced in February that they would restart talks with the aim of reaching contract agreements. This year, Starbucks and union representatives plan to meet Wednesday for the first bargaining session in nearly a year. Workers at 424 company-owned U.S. Starbucks have voted to unionize since 2021, according to the NLRB, and none of those stores have secured a labor agreement with Starbucks. Whew. Yeah, because I suspect that Starbucks wants to do everything in their power to squash this. But yeah, definitely something that we need to keep an eye on. Shifting gears here, the Biden administration tightens rules against obtaining medical records related to abortion. So, hey, it's wild that we have to address this, but here we go. The medical records of women will be shielded from criminal investigations if they cross state lines to seek abortions where it is legal under a new rule that the Biden administration finalized on Monday. Yesterday, the regulation, which intended to protect women who live in states where abortion is illegal from prosecution, is almost certain to face legal challenges from anti-abortion advocates and criticism from abortion right advocates that it does not go far enough. No one should have their medical records used against them, their doctor, or their loved ones just because they sought or received lawful reproductive health care, said Jennifer Klein, the director of the White House Gender Policy Council, told reporters on Monday. The new regulation is an update to the health HIPAA, essentially, of the HIPAA Act, the HIPAA of 1996, which prohibits medical providers and health insurers from divulging medical information about patients. Typically, however, law enforcement can access those records for investigation. In states with strict abortion rules, the federal regulation would essentially prohibit state or local officials from gathering medical records related to reproductive health care for civil, criminal, or administrative investigations from providers or health insurers in the state where abortion remained legal. In theory, it would provide the most cover to women who leave the states with strict bans to seek abortion where from a medical provider in a state that allows it. Yes, 1996. It's the least they can do. Yep. As someone who does see patients who travel from all across the country at our health center in DC, it's a reality. I've had patients ask, are there going to be consequences for me when I get home? Said Dr. Serena Floyd, an OBGYN who provides abortions in Washington. Women who also seek fertility, contraception, or miscarriage care can also be protected, said the nation's top health official Javier Becerra on Monday. A group of 19 Republican attorney generals, all from states with strict abortion laws, urged the Health and Human Services to ditch the rule when draft was released last year. Yeah, they can go F themselves. They can go F themselves. Seriously. They can go F themselves. the regulation, quote, unlawfully interfere with the state's authority to enforce their laws and does not serve any legitimate need. Yeah, no. Nope. Quote, relying as it does on false view of state regulation on abortion, the proposed rule is a solution in search of a problem. Nah. The new regulation does not go as far as protecting women from criminal investigations when they order abortion pills online, as has become increasingly common. For example, it would not safeguard medical records of a patient who orders an abortion pill while at her home in a state like Mississippi, where abortion is mostly banned, from a provider in Illinois, where abortion is legal. The rule does not require law enforcement officials to obtain a warrant for any medical record of patients, a rule change some Democrats have sought from the administration. Instead, law enforcement can seek a subpoena, court order, or an administrative request to obtain these medical records. That's nonsense. They can, as women getting pickier about who they're screwing as a result of this unfriendly environment, which makes sense. But Sarah acknowledged to reporters that the regulation has limitations and may be challenged legally. Until we have a national law that reinstitutes Roe v. Wade, we're going to have issues. But that doesn't stop us from doing everything that we can to protect every American's right to access the care that they need. At least 22 Democratic-controlled states have laws or executive orders that seek to protect medical providers or patients who participate in abortions from investigators by law enforcement in states with bans. Medical providers in some of those states are prescribing abortion bills via telehealth to women in states with abortion bans. It's not clear that the public officials have sought those medical records of patients around abortion, but last year, Texas officials demanded records from at least 2 out-of-state health centers that provide gender-affirming care. Texas, like most other Republican-controlled states, has a ban on gender-affirming care for minors. Yeah. The party of small government, by the way, fighting to obtain medical records for things that are nobody's freaking business. Nobody's freaking business, much less the government's business. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. Great country we got going on, huh? With the previous Supreme Court case, we have another one that we have to pay attention. The Supreme Court weighs bans on sleeping outdoors. Yep. That's right. The Supreme Court wrestled with major questions about the growing issue of homelessness on Monday as it considered whether cities can punish people for sleeping outside when shelter space is lacking. The hits keep coming. Yep, it's the most significant case before the High Court in decades on the issue and comes as record number of people are without permanent place to live in the U.S. Great stuff. Great stuff. Great country. The case started in rural Oregon town of Grants Pass, which began fining people $295 for sleeping out dollars for sleeping outside as the cost of housing escalated and tents sprung around. Can you imagine? Right? Yeah, I know what the solution is. People can't afford freaking housing. They're literally living in tents. So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to freaking fine them $295, right? And if they can't pay that, what happens? They go to freaking jail. And what happens? Their ability to get jobs and to get on their feet becomes worse and worse. It's a very visible problem. Exactly. They don't have it. Tons of encampments, and why not give them a place to live? Right. Instead of fining them $295, which, like, come on, man. Instead of actually, solving the problem, giving people adequate housing, you get this. The San Francisco-based U.S. Ninth Court of Appeals struck down that law under its holding that banning camping in places without enough shelter beds amounts to cruel and unusual punishment. Yeah, no kidding. The justice appeared to be leaning towards a now ruling in the case after hearing arguments that showed the stark terms of the debate over homelessness in western states like California, which is home to 1/3 of the country's homeless population. Sleeping is a biological necessity, and people may be forced to do outside if they can't get housing or there's no space in shelters, said Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Where do we put them if every city, every village, every town lacks compassion and passes a law identical to this? Where are they supposed to sleep? Are they supposed to redact themselves not sleeping? Solving homelessness is a complicated issue. It's not. It's really not. Said Justice Brett I Like Beer Kavanaugh. He questioned whether ticketing people for camping helps if there aren't enough shelter beds to hold everyone, but it also raised concerns about federal courts micromanaging policy. Almost half of homeless people have jobs, correct, or more than one job. Other conservative justices asked how far the Eighth Amendment legal protections should extend as cities struggle with managing homeless encampments that can be dangerous and unsanitary. How about if there's no public bathroom facilities? Do people have an Eighth Amendment right to defecate and urinate outdoors? How about you make freaking housing, dudes? Like, I don't understand. This isn't a complicated issue. It's very simple. People don't have homes. Give them homes. Give them shelter. This isn't complicated. Other public health laws cover that situation. Justice Department Attorney Edwin Needler said he argued that people shouldn't be punished just for sleeping outside, but said the ruling striking down the grants passed law should be tossed out because the court didn't do enough to determine if people are involuntarily homeless. Gore said the other justices also raising the possibility that other aspects of state or federal law could help sort through the issue, potentially without setting sweeping new legal precedent. The question is an urgent one in the West, where a cross-section of Democratic and Republican officials contend that the Ninth Circuit ruling on the camping bans make it difficult for them to manage encampments. The appeals court has jurisdiction over 9 states in the West. Advocacy groups, on the other hand, argued that allowing cities to punish people who need a place to sleep will criminalize homelessness and ultimately make the crisis worse as housing costs increase. Yeah, 100%. This country's so cooked, none of this shit is sustainable. 100%, I agree with that. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered outside the Supreme Court on Monday to advocate for more affordable housing, holding silver thermal blankets and signs like housing, not handcuffs. Homelessness in the U.S. grew a dramatic 12% over the last year, in its highest reported level as soaring rents and a decline in coronavirus pandemic assistance combined to put housing out of reach for more people. Imagine the bare minimum governmental assistance was keeping 12% housed, and as soon as that little itty bitty assistance that the government gave went out, that coupled with soaring housing prices like rents and mortgages, that grew the unhoused population by 12%. They need to find more ways to get legal slaves. Yep, I don't know what the flashpoint will be specifically to kick off the needed upheaval, but this empire is coming apart at every point. Yes, a prison system, right? That's exactly right. Heat and cognizant. More than 650,000 people are estimated to be homeless, the most since this country began using the yearly point-in-time survey in 2007. Nearly half of them sleep outside. Older adults, LGBTQ+ people, and people of color are disproportionately affected. In Oregon, a lack of mental health and addiction resources has also fueled the crisis. The state has some of the highest rates of homelessness and drug addiction in the nation and ranks near the bottom in access to treatment. Curious. But yeah, let's just start finding people and punishing them. The court is expected to decide this case by the end of June. Cool. Great country we got going. Folks, it is just over 7 o'clock, so I'm just going to go over this one quickly. In Trump's hush money trial, a tabloid publisher testified that he helped candidacy. When someone's... Okay, so yeah. What I wanted to actually go over is that this is not the article that I wanted to go through. But in any case... the update that we have on this trial is that the judge is considering gag order violation punishment. So we'll see if anything comes out of that. But the person that they were referencing is the National Enquirer, the tabloid owner. Whether or not this judge is going to punish Trump for obvious violation of the gag order, I don't know. But definitely that's being argued. So I guess we'll see what's happening with that. And but yeah, the guy David Pecker, the owner of the National Enquirer, the tabloid that bought the story of the affair with him and Stormy Daniels, testified. So we'll see if there's any updates on that. I'm more interested in whether or not he's actually going to get punished for violating the gag order. No clue. Folks, it is just past 7 o'clock, so I got to get going. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the follows. Thank you, Kamikaze for the subscription. Thank you all for the biddies and biddies, subscriptions, follows. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Folks, again, if you're on the YouTube, thank you for the likes. Keep liking the videos. Keep liking the stream. Sub to the YouTube. 254 of you have already done so. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you for all of you guys hanging out. Thank you, Firefly. Thank you, Kamikaze. Thank you, Cognizant. Bipedal Meatbag, the Simulacra, Suspect Blaming. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm just me, the Simulacra. Thank you, Kali Kala. Thank you for mixing it up in the chat. Carpet Packs, thank you so much. Huge shout out to Carpe. Thank you. Let's see who else I've got. Blue Brother, thank you for stopping by. The Ponder Monkey, thank you. I appreciate you mixing it up in the chat. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, sorry. I just put burgers on the stove. Well, it's a good thing then. Yes, shout out to Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. Tomorrow, same time. Thursday, the stream might be at a different time. Oh, where'd it go? Okay. Thursday, the stream might be at a earlier time. I'm gonna have to move the Thursday stream earlier for that because I still want to do the stream. But I'm gonna have to do it at a maybe a few hours early than expected. So join the Discord. Cool. Yeah. For Thursday, I won't be able to do it at the normal time, but I still want to stream. So join the Discord, and definitely there's going to be updates on what happens on the stream there. And yes, this Saturday is movie night. So again, join the Discord, and you can be a part of that. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. See ya. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.